Hi everybody, thank you for joining another Play Hooray video. Today I'm going to talk to you about treasure baskets. So before we start with this, I'm just going to set the scene. So a treasure basket is literally a basket full of loads of random items in your house. Don't go and buy anything special, just empty the cupboards and find things that are safe for your child to explore, but they may not have played with before. So it's super easy and really lovely. Before you give this to your baby or your child, what I would do is I would set up the room nice and quiet, turn the TV off. It's really important when you're encouraging your child to concentrate and to explore that you don't have any other distractions if you can. So I'd always turn off the TV when the children are playing. And then I'd find a space with a rug, or I put out a blanket or use the tough spot, you know, like the black tray that I use, and I'd place the treasure basket on there. And the reason for that is it just creates a boundary, so it makes sure that all the resources are kept in one area. I find that children are less likely to wander off with bits and pieces and spread it around the house if they've got it sat on. It's almost like a marker, a boundary of where it has to be kept. The treasure baskets can be done with children, with babies really. I normally do this with babies once they start sitting. You might want to prop them up slightly, but those children that are starting to sit by themselves, so around 6 months, and you can do this all the way up to them starting school. And I bet that a lot of nurseries and receptions will still use treasure baskets because they can be really effective. So it's super easy. And the reason why I'm showing you this now is we've had a few days of Mason being ill, so we've been at home a lot. So if you're starting to get a bit of cabin fever now that the weather's getting a bit rubbish, you don't need to panic. Go grab a basket or a baking tray or a plate or anything really, and pop a load of random things on that you don't think your child has played with before, and you might just get a few minutes to sit back and have a moment to yourself, because I imagine you've not had one for a while. So I'm just going to show you the treasure basket that Mason and I have been doing this week. It's quite a basic one actually. The idea behind it is that you're trying to encourage your child to want to explore. So you're encouraging them to use their senses, and you're encouraging them to try out different textures using their hands, using their mouth. They might want to smell it, they might want to listen to it. And you're going to present it to them in a really nice way. And your role as the adult when you give this to your child is just to sit back. Don't get too involved. Don't be handing them things and emptying the basket. Sit back and let them have a look through at their own pace. Now, I warn you now, if your child picks up one item, has a look, and then toddles off and isn't bothered, don't worry. If your child empties the entire basket, doesn't look at anything, and waddles off, don't worry. Okay, so the idea behind this activity is one that you can repeat and you will come back to over time. I don't have the treasure basket out all the time for Mason to have access to. I actually hide the bits and pieces in a kitchen cupboard out of the way, and so I think it gives it a bit of a novelty that when it comes out it's something different. So when I'm filling a treasure basket, I'm looking for different items that he's not necessarily had contact with before and that have different textures. So I've got a pom-pom and sponge here, lovely and squeezy. I've even got a dog's toy because it's nice and spiky. And look at that lovely metallic ball. You find that shiny things are really appealing to children. They're like magpies, aren't they? And a little purse. We're still not quite able to do the zip, but there's no harm in showing him anyway and let him have a little explore. I've got an old tin and then some random bits and pieces that I'm not actually sure what they are. And these foam hair curler thingies are really lovely. And what I do is I'd fill it all up, not too much. It's nice bulging one. Oh, just to show you, in here I've got some of the reusable ice cubes that you get in the pound shops. I pop them in a bag just so that they're not a choking hazard, but they can still feel them. And if you put them in the fridge before they use it, they're lovely and cold. So you've got a variety of temperatures as well. And they're lovely for them to feel on their skin, on their mouth, and even have a little taste. So when I give this to Mason, what I do is then I sit back and I watch what he does. And the important thing about watching is that you might start to notice some patterns. So you might notice that your child is always going for things that roll, or for things that open and close, or things that they can squeeze. There might start to be a pattern, and if you notice that, that's really great, because then you can maybe create another basket of loads of things along the same lines. For example, Mason, if there was a brush in here, I know he would go straight for that. He loves brushes. So in the past, I've even made up a basket full of loads of different types of brushes: toothbrushes, hairbrushes, combs, sweeping brushes, dog brush, all kinds of things. And it's really nice to explore them in different ways. So that's the idea, really, is that you're sitting back and you're watching your child and you can notice things. And then when I feel it's appropriate, without getting too involved, and you don't want to break up their concentration if they're heavily involved in something, is that's a really good time that you can start to introduce different language. So if they're particularly intrigued by one item, you could start talking about how hard it is, how smooth it is, how shiny it is, the noise it makes when it's banged against something, what it feels like on their skin. And this is what we call scaffolding. This is where you're starting to move your child's learning on. But don't be too heavy-handed. Don't be too involved. Let it go at their pace. And if they've had enough, just leave it and put the basket away and get it out a few weeks later and see how they get on. Over time, you'll start to see that your child, their concentration will last for longer, and they will be able to sit at the basket for much longer when they're exploring the items. And they might just start to explore it in different ways, so it can be really interesting. And then I'm just going to show you some other baskets that I've made in the past. I've just thrown these together. So this is a really easy one. Again, you don't have to go out and get anything special. Empty kitchen cupboard. So, there's a brush for Mason, a pear, you've got cutters, you've got a whisk and a pipette and a sieve, all different kind of things, a little egg cup that he'll just enjoy exploring. These are great. The little IKEA tag peg things, they're really lovely for little fingers to play with. And that's super easy. You can literally empty your kitchen drawer, as long as it's safe. We don't want any cheese graters or anything in there. Another one that always looks really effective, these look really beautiful, is like a naturey one. So again, it doesn't need to cost much. You can just grab things for the garden or from the park. Some of these things I have collected over time, like the wooden banana. I pick these up in charity shops. They're quite good places to collect things. But other than that, we've got wooden napkin rings, wooden egg cup, pine cones of different sizes. I've got some smooth shiny pebbles and an empty coconut shell, and these twine balls, and there's even some artificial grass under there. Oh, and some shells are just poking under. Wooden peg and a feather, and that's really easy, and it does actually look quite effective. So that's another nice one you might want to try. This is a good one because you can actually, if your child's a little bit older, you could get them involved at collecting things. So this is just a colour basket, this one. Again, I've been looking for lots of different textures, so I've got a nice scarf and a tie. And this is like a stretchy elastic thingy that happens to be blue. My husband's lanyard, he doesn't know that's in there. Paintbrush and a water cannon thing. So I've got loads of different items, even a little bowl. And if your child's old enough, you could get them to come with you on a little hunt around the house looking for all things blue or all things orange. And it's really great if you can find a book that's similar colours to this as well, to pop that in there to add to it. I must admit, the only problem with doing these, this is a warning, is that you will spend the rest of the day noticing things around the house that are that colour, or you think, oh, I could have put that in the treasure basket. So it does get a bit addictive. And then finally, ooh, this is a lovely one. This is a metallic one. This is one of Mason's favourites. As you can see, I've got some batch powered fairy lights in here. Some shiny material just from a fabric shop, just 1 metre square, doesn't cost a lot. Shiny egg cups, teaspoons. Ooh, I love napkin rings. They're so lovely for little hands. And a bell. And this is just silver foil squished up into a nice big ball for them to, they can unroll it. They could do whatever they want with it. And even some jewellery. So there's just some few examples of treasure baskets that you could try. You could fill it up with all your costume jewellery. You could fill it up with food. You could fill it up with tools, whatever. As long as it's safe for your child to explore, they can be really lovely. All right, I'm going to have to finish there and run out of time. Thank you for joining us. Again, I'd love to see your photos. Please send them in, and we'll see you next time. Bye.